Alrighty, Duelist Kingdom. We have got Weevil Underwood taking on Bandit Keith. Where have I put my remote? There we are. So Bandit Keith and Weevil, you would say that Bandit Keith probably does have a bit more strength in his deck. But Weevil, I did take some of the more worse cards out of his deck because his deck wasn't really competitive at all. So we should see a bit more of an even match now out of Weevil from here on. Speaking of Weevil, he's won rock, paper, scissors. He's elected to go first. Alright, not a bad starting hand. Laser Cannon Armor, Fissure, Giant Scorpion of the Tundra, Cockroach Knight. Not a great card. We'll go back to the top of the deck if it's destroyed. Alright, Weevil goes with Giant Scorpion of the Tundra, probably not wanting Cockroach Knight to go back to the top of the deck. Alright, first turn for Bandit Keith. And he goes with a face down defense. And he's just decided to end his turn. Up to 50% off Sims packs end soon. I get pop-ups every now and then for the Sims. Man, I haven't played Sims for a while. I have to get back into Sims. Sims is always a good time. Start playing Sims and then you check the time and it's literally 3 days later. Alright, Laser Cannon Armor has gone on to Big Insect. That's now at 1700, so good start from Weevil. And, Battle Footballer, 2100. So Weevil takes 400 points of damage, and is he going for Fissure? He's thinking about it. No, he's changed his mind. Battle Football is not really that big of a threat, but Keith could tribute it for something else, but he doesn't. He goes with another face down. And straight to the end phase. Alright, Weevil's turn now. Oh, Metal Armored Bug. This might be the first time that Weevil's actually summoned this. It is an 8-star, so you do need 2 tributes, but at 2800 it's well worth it, and it will be 3000 because of the effect of Forest. So it is one of Weevil's strongest. Alright, there goes Robotic Knight. And Weevil in a good position now. Metal Armored Bug's going to be very tough for Bandit Keith to get rid of. Keith throws another face down defense down. Now back to Weevil, and there is Man-Eater Bug. Weevil's drawing good cards now. He could devise a strategy here and could get all of Keith's monsters off the field. And there goes Mechanical Snail, so Weevil opting to get rid of Keith's face down monsters, I guess, so Weevil can still activate Fissure if he chooses to on Battle Footballer. It's another face down from Keith. And Weevil, if he plays correctly, can get a direct attack here. And he goes with Cockroach Knight in attack mode, and there we go, we flip up Man-Eater Bug. Nice move, destroys the face down, and he can use Fissure now to get rid of Battle Footballer, and he does. So this is going to be 4,000 points of damage to Bandit Keith's life points. No, 4,650. So Bandit Keith is going to have 3,350 after all these attacks have concluded, and Weevil well in the driver's seat here. Bandit Keith probably is not going to come back from this, but you never know. He does have Dark Holes, he does have some good traps, he does have some good monsters, but he does need to tribute to get them to the field. Okay, Gigatech Wolf in attack mode. And a face down spell or trap. Now Keith, he goes for Cockroach Knight. That does somewhat paralyze Weevil's deck because that'll go back to the top. Although it may be just a little bit too late for Bandit Keith to try to mount a comeback with what Weevil has on the field. The Cockroach Knight did return to Weevil's hand. Okay, Metal Armored Bug attacks, that's 1800 off, and if Keith can't block, Weevil is going to pick up the first match in this set of 3. And that's what happens. Well, convincing win from Weevil. Bandit Keith, if he draws another hand like that and Weevil attacks like that again, we're going to see a very quick match. Alright, let's flip to Keith's perspective for this match. Now, hopefully Keith can get back into it. I don't want to see a whitewash of insects destroying machines. It'd be embarrassing for Keith. A half counter. Alright, Bandit Keith wins rock, paper, scissors, and elects to go first. Alright, let's see what he's got. Dark Hole, there's Gigatech Wolf again, Brave Scissor, and Holograph. He does have Zera in his hand as well, if he can draw the ritual for it. Alright, Weevil, first turn. A bit of a thing. Oh, he goes for stop defense straight off the bat. And goes with Flying Kamakiri number 1. So when Flying Kamakiri is destroyed by battle, Weevil can pull a wind monster from his deck, so he'll be in face-up attack position. Okay, Keith has just drawn Blocker. That's not a bad card. He'll be able to protect himself for a little bit with that. He has got that Dark Hole lingering in his hand as well. If he plays that at the right time, he could potentially do some damage. Brave Scissor and Holograph also still in Keith's hand. And Weevil plays Big Insect again. Another returning from the last match. And Weevil does attack Blocker. That's a 400 point takeoff for Weevil. 7600 plays 7800. Alright, there's Shovel Crusher. And Keith electing to just go straight to his end phase. Alright, there's a draw from Weevil. And there we are, we have our first tribute of the match, and it's for Hercules Beetle, which is only a slight increase in strength. It does have 2000 defense, but it's a... given that Giant Soldier of Stone is 200 attack points weaker, same defense, and it's 3 stars instead of 5. Yeah, it's hard to justify why Hercules Beetle is 5 stars. However, Bandit Keith has had enough. He's gone straight for Dark Hole. And he has summoned Brave Scissor. If Brave Scissor can stay on the field for one turn, he will be able to get Pendulum Machine to the field. But at a 1300 attack, Weevil does have plenty of cards to be able to get over that. Question is, does he have any? He plays Dark Hole of his own to get rid of Brave Scissor, wow. And plays Kuwagata Alpha. Well, I guess Weevil is seeing Keith play weaker kind of monsters, so he may be confident in his Kuwagata Alpha here. It's 1250 off Keith, it's 6300 plays 6550, so a much closer game than what we got before. There's Fissure. So they're downgrading their monsters with each magic card they throw at each other. Keith now with Holograph at 1100. Alright, Weevil went with a face-down defense, and there we go. Bandit Keith can now tribute Holograph, and he can finally get that Pendulum Machine to the field. 1750 attack and 2000 defense. It's not a bad card for this generation of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Caterpillar is destroyed. So Weevil now, if he's playing cards like Caterpillar, maybe running out of options here. He has already played Dark Hole as well. Alright, face down from Weevil. And, oh, straight to the end phase. Interesting. So he must have no monsters. He could have monsters, but they could all be high levels. Maybe in a bit of trouble here, Weevil. Keith is about to do 2850 points of damage. Alright, Weevil down to 2350. Keith now still at 6550 and now very much has the advantage. There's a draw from Weevil. And he's played Forest, but it may be a little too late. And a face down defense, so he does have a monster this time. Can at least protect his life points. There's Yugioh Robo. And Patrol Robo's effect can activate, and oh, it's Cockroach Knight. Oh dear. If Weevil is playing Cockroach Knight, then that means he's in trouble. He's got nothing else to play, because you don't necessarily play that on the field in this sort of circumstance unless it's absolutely necessary. Alright, Cockroach Knight is destroyed, and if Weevil doesn't have anything else to play, then the next card he is going to draw is going to be Cockroach Knight, so he's going to lose on Keith's next turn. Okay, Cockroach Knight now in attack mode. And, oh, okay, it was Laser Cannon Armor that was face down. Won't be enough to help Weevil here. He does go for an attack. He gets rid of Patrol Robo. But too little too late for Weevil. We will go to 1-1 and we will go to a tiebreaker, concluding Keith's turn. And, oh, it's Barrel Dragon. And Bandit Keith, just for the memes, decides to play down Barrel Dragon. 2600 attack. And you can toss a coin if you if two of the results are heads, Cockroach Knight will be destroyed by effect. And tails, and tails, and tails. Keith gets 0 out of 3 for heads, and he needed 2. But it doesn't matter. Cockroach Knight is destroyed, 1300 points. Weevil is done, and we will go to tiebreak for the season point. Tell you what, no in between for these matches. Well, the start of that match was a little bit more balanced, but first one was convincing win for Weevil. Second match was a relatively convincing win for Bandit Keith. What do we get in the third match? Do we get a neck and neck type one, or do we get a one-sided slaughter? Alien Infiltrator. Reptile. Alright, Weevil wins rock, paper, scissors. He elects again to go first. And, okay, not a bad hand. It's Great Moth, but Great Moth's very difficult to summon. Flying Kamakiri #1, so he does have the option of getting another wind monster. And he decides to set Flying Kamakiri. Alright, Keith starts out with Robotic Knight. Oh, and Machine Conversion Factory, so that'll put Robotic Knight to 1900. Alright, strong start for Bandit Keith here. Weevil's just lost Flying Kamakiri. He can activate its effect. And decides on Killer Needle. It does go in face-up attack position, but it will be safe for the time being. He can sacrifice Killer Needle to get Hercules Beetle to the field during Weevil's next turn, which will be 2000 defense, 100 points more than Robotic Knight. There's Kuwagata Alpha. I think Hercules Beetle and Kuwagata Alpha are the fusion material for Kuwaga Hercules, which is 1900. which is weaker than Hercules Beetle's defense, which makes very little sense. But it doesn't matter. Hercules Beetle has been set. Bandit Keith will be confident here. And there's Brave Scissor. And Keith does still elect to attack. He will lose 100 life points, but it is face up, which means it is prone to fissure. Oh, and speaking of fissure, there we go. I would say that Keith probably knew that he wasn't going to win that attack. But flipping the card face up, 100 points to get that Hercules Beetle off the field isn't a bad trade. There's 7 tools of the Bandit. And Kuwagata Alpha goes down. And there is Monster Reborn, so Hercules Beetle will make a return. Weevil again, he is protected now, he still does have 2000 defense. Alright, Keith now with another draw, and he plays down Holograph, 1100. Oh, 7 completed, that will put Robotic Knight to 2600. And that's what Keith selects, so 2600, that's going to get rid of Hercules Beetle. There it goes for the second time, Hercules Beetle is beaten, Kuwagata Alpha is now beaten by Brave Scissor, and Weevil now losing life points. They're both going to be on 7900 now, so they're equal on points, but looking at the two fields, you would much rather be Bandit Keith right now than Weevil. There's, oh, Hunter Spider. Weevil can't summon. There's another draw for Keith. Weevil in big trouble now. There's Blast Juggler. 26 and 13 is 39, plus 11 is 5,000. 5,800 points are coming off coming off of Weevil here. So he'll be down to 2100 if my math is right. There goes 2600. And 1100, yes, 2100. So Weevil has just taken an absolute enormous hit, and he will probably not be able to recover. There's Kamikiriman, which it's only going to do so much. Well, this was an absolute demolition job from Bandit Keith in this third and final match. Oh, Mystical Space Typhoon, just to put that little bit more on, fully deplete Weevil's side of the field. And look at that, no nonsense from Bandit Keith. Robotic Knight clears the field, and now 2 attacks will do it. Brave Scissor attacks. Weevil has 800. You can get more duel points if you put your opponent to directly on 0 life points. So you see on the reduce opponent's life points to 0. Anyway, that is Bandit Keith and Weevil done. Bandit Keith convincingly in the last round. Weevil did pick up 1 win early on, but Keith did well to win the next 2. Over in Battle City, we've got Mai taking on Marek, so that should be an interesting game. We're having sort of a, we call an anime showdown that we saw back in Battle City. Marek won that one. How will Mai and Marek go in Legacy of the Duelist using real cards? Anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and get that one produced. Thanks for tuning in. I'll pull up the season bracket. I've been forgetting to say here is a season bracket, but it's still popping up at the end. All right, let's go get some production done. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Stay safe, keep well, farewell.